Hey there, fellow makers. Welcome to Prop Live, your weekly prop custom making Q&A session. I'm Bill, and today we are joined by Randy from the Armor Garage. Hello, Randy.
Hey, everybody.
Another Pacific Northwesterner up in Canada land above us. How are things here? It's rather cold here. Is it chilly there too?
It is so cold. And I think we got another snowstorm coming.
I heard it's gonna get a little blustery tonight, so I've stocked up on Diet Mountain Dew apparently. Weather the storm. We are of course joined by our wonderful prop tarts in the chat, looking like they are very excited to chat today about what Randy's been working on, and I'm gonna jump right into it. Why waste any time? You're working on something you call Armorsmith Designer over at thearmoredgarage.com. Why don't you give us a quick rundown about what this is, and then we'll do a little bit of a demo.
Sure, that sounds good. So basically what Armorsmith is it's a program to help with the design of costumes. What it gives you is an avatar that you can kind of customize to all your measurements. And then you can load in costume parts as 3D models or Pepakura files and attach them onto this avatar, scale all the parts, and then print out the templates, and you're ready to go for building your costume.
That is super, super duper cool. The thing that I like about it the most is what you said is scaling. One of the questions I get a lot when people ask me about Pepakura is how do I scale this so that it fits on me? And usually I tell them, I don't know, a lot of trial and error, which is what I've done in the past. I'll print out something in Pepakura, I'll cut it out, glue it together, put it on my head, realize it's way too big, and then I'll have to guess at how much smaller I need to make it. But you seem to have solved that problem.
That's exactly it. I mean, that's kind of why I set down this road. There was just a lot of little things in Pepakura Designer that just frustrated me. And I thought, well, maybe I'll try seeing if I can make something on my own.
Yeah.
And now I've wound up here. The other nice thing about Armorsmith is you don't have to scale linearly. You can scale in each axis separately, which you can't do in Pepakura Designer. So that was another big one that people were really excited about.
Yeah, that could be a very easy way for people to not only scale something bigger or smaller, but to change the proportion of it for their particular body type.
Exactly.
That's really neat. And also, too, while I'm on your website here, I want to point something out really quick that excited me. Is that this is what at first enamored you with me and Brittany, is that you did both a Wolverine costume, that Wolverine is my favorite character, and you did a Dragon Zord.
That Dragon Zord, yeah.
Which Brittany was always a fan of dragons and the Green Dragon in particular. So if you guys haven't had a chance to check out both of those and some of Randy's other projects, that alone is worth visiting the website.
That was such a fun costume to do. And to wear. The reactions from people was just amazing.
Oh, yeah. So, and also the Wolverine you did. Now, I ran into you at Emerald City last year, was it? Because I remember a Wolverine yelling at me from across the hallway. I like that armored Wolverine costume. That's such a cool idea.
Yeah, I like to kind of do things, put my own spin on costumes.
For sure. Well, cool. You guys in the chat, just so you are aware, we are looking for questions for today's Q&A episode, prop and costume making stuff as always. But Randy's about to do just a little bit of a run through of Armorsmith Designer. So if you have anything you would like to ask about that or anything else, then go to punishprops.com/live to submit a question. That'll get bumped into our email, and Brittany will add it to my notes. So, Randy, are you ready to do a little bit of a demo?
I am ready. Let's just see where this... Yeah, I'm ready to go.
Fantastic. Well, the floor is yours.
All right. Okay, here we go. So this here is Armorsmith, the main screen that greets you when you go in. And basically, you come in and create yourself a new costume, and you have your avatar, which you can go in, and basically the first step is to kind of adjust into what your overall height is. So that kind of gives you a starting point. And then you can go in and you can totally adjust like all the proportions to kind of match up. to exactly what you have.
That is
So
that is pretty great. I'm all thighs, by the way. If you just jack those thighs right up, then
yeah,
spot
just
on.
something around there. Yeah, and so once you're kind of happy with the just reset the avatar. Once you're happy with your proportions, you can come in here and it's getting all choppy from the stream, and import parts. So you can either import OBJ models, STL files, or PDOs, which are like the Pepakura native format. And basically what you do is you just kind of bring in your part, and it'll load up, and it brings it up in this little window on the right here. And then you can just click on the little icon of the piece and drag it right onto the avatar. And then go in and make any kind of adjustments to match it up with exactly where you need it. So I'm just going to slide this up the arm a little bit.
So does it, when you dump a piece in, do you assign it to a body part then?
Yeah, that's exactly it. Here, why don't I bring in a whole bunch of parts here?
Cool. And then does it like auto scale it? Because that looked like it was almost spot on.
It doesn't auto scale.
Okay.
That's something I want to get in, but I just haven't had time to get to it yet.
So it is possible you would bring something in, it might be just really big, and you just scale it down?
Yeah, that's exactly right.
Cool. Because who knows where you might be grabbing files from on the internet and whether or not they're the appropriate scale.
That's exactly it. Plus, when you're building a costume like this, you might download a whole bunch of different armor parts that aren't in scale with one another. And that's always a hard thing with like Pepakura Designer, because you really have no idea how these pieces are going to fit together or what their proportions are going to be.
I gotcha. Well, that's cool.
So yeah, and then you can click on the part, you can mirror it over to the other side, so you get kind of a matchup of why a little off.
What armor set is this you're dropping on there?
I am dropping the Master Chief because that's always a popular one.
Oh yeah,
always a popular one with Pepakura. It's kind of what started the whole Pepakura craze.
Right.
Was the Master Chief.
Boy, that is awfully cool. Now, do you do? Maybe you'll get to this in a little bit, but do you do the unwrapping in this software, or is that like
It does.
Would you? So, what if you had already done something in Pepakura Designer and you drag the PDO over? Does it retain all the unwrapping that you did in Pepakura Designer?
It does. So if I hop over to the Unfolds tab, it has all the Unfold exactly as it was from Pepakura.
That's awesome.
As well, if you bring in, thanks. Yeah, as well, if you bring in a new model, it'll unwrap it inside here,
Cool.
the same as it would in Pepakura, and you can edit the Unfold, move all the parts around, shift things, and rotate.
Because once you start scaling things, then the unwrap is going to be a little bit wonky.
Yeah, exactly. Especially with a non-uniform scaling of the parts, because it gets a little bit tricky. Because essentially, what I have to do is take the Unfold, untransform it back into the world space, do the scale, and then basically unfold it again and stitch it back together how it was before.
Yeah.
So it can get really tricky. Some of the parts kind of overlap, so you have to go in and move things around. But it works fairly well the way it is right now.
Neat. So, can you show off what you mean by the non-uniform scaling, which is something I'm excited about?
Sure. So let's go in, and switch over to the scaling tool. So this is the uniform scale, which everybody's familiar with. But then you can...
So just everything between the different... Yeah, everything scales up or down proportionately.
Yeah, but here, now I've scaled this just by the height.
Right. So if you're trying to make something for yourself and you happen to have a torso that is longer than Master Chief's.
Exactly. Like if I take this guy and make him really tall, then you can kind of adjust that. So now you actually have a part that fits.
Hey, look at that.
Yeah.
Super.
Yeah, that's kind of the basics of the tool. The other thing that I think is kind of cool about this is down here at the bottom, the costume creator, is when you create a costume and put it online, it saves kind of your user information and your social media so that people that are creating costumes can then share their creations, and people can go out and check out their social media to see what other things that they've created. So it kind of helps to build, I guess it just like helps other users like when they're creating new content so that they can share that content and everybody can kind of find out about these creators that they might not know about otherwise.
Super cool. Well, I like it. I'm stoked to check it out and start playing with it. I need to figure out what my next armor build is going to be. But for sure, I really like the idea of because let's just do an example. I want to make a drift suit from Pacific Rim. Why not? And I just saw one, by the way. I was just at the exhibit down in LA, the Del Toro exhibit, and they had a drift suit there, cool. And I took tons of photos of it. So I could go in, and actually I have, it's hiding over there, but I have a 3D model of myself that was scanned. And I could model everything on that in like Maya or Fusion 360 or whatever. But then to scale it and fit all the parts together and cut them up for, let's say, Pepakura, dumping it into Armorsmith Designer would be ridiculously handy. So that's what I'm very excited to check out. I see a lot of people in the chat getting pretty stoked about this. If any of you guys have any specific questions about Armorsmith Designer, again, punishprops.com/live. We'll send you to a form to send us questions. So start sending them over there, and we will start answering them for you. But until then, we've got plenty of other normal prop and costume making questions, and I bet Randy's just as excited as I am to start answering them.
Yeah, let's go ahead. Let's take a look.
Fantastic. Maximus, which I really hope, Maximus, that your first name is really Maximus, because that is awesome. He wants to know, I have started drawing blueprints in Inkscape. I was wondering how to cut them up so that when they don't fit on one page, like I did in my Skyrim blueprint. Do you ever do anything in just 2D, like vectors? Like, what am I thinking of? Illustrator or Inkscape or anything like that? Or are you an all 3D guy?
I usually always 3D. The only experience I've had with Inkscape was trying to export parts to use my Cricut to cut parts out. So I would export and then bring them into Inkscape and kind of mess around with them and then bring them into another tool.
Well, I have a really low-tech solution for how I do it. Now, there is a way with Adobe Reader, I think, with Acrobat Reader, if it's still called Acrobat. I don't even know. Chances are it's installed on your computer. But there is a way to take images that are larger than your printer can do and have the software figure out how to print it out in multiple sheets. But when I'm drawing something in Inkscape, I just make a document that's letter size, the size of my printer, and then I take the drawing that I drew and I put it into that document, and then I save out a PDF, and then I move it over a little bit, and I save out another PDF with a line in the middle where you can cut and tape them together. It's an incredibly low-tech solution for that. But it basically does the job. I think I covered that. I did a premium video over on punishprops.com on a whole bunch of Inkscape stuff, and I think I covered it in that one. So that's worth checking out. But there you go.
That works well enough.
My high-tech solution or low-tech solution for printing giant pictures. Thank you for the question, Maximus. Gregory. This is a good general question for both of us. What got you interested in all of this? I'm gonna guess he means costume and prop making. That's a good question.
That is a great question.
They've probably all heard my story too many times, but you, Randy, how'd you get started with this?
So I actually had a friend whose birthday was on Halloween, and what we would do is every year before his birthday, we'd spend about a month just like working in his garage, building these elaborate costumes, wear them on Halloween, and then every year they just kind of got a little bit more elaborate, and then I discovered this amazing community and kind of turned it into the hobby that it is now.
So Halloween was your gateway drug.
It was definitely my gateway drug.
What were some of those early costumes that you made?
Oh man, so the first costume I ever did was an Optimus Prime.
Nice.
And this is way before Pepakura or any of that stuff. The way I built it was I actually used like chicken wire and paper mache.
Nice.
And it was easily the most uncomfortable costume I've ever worn because it was like I kind of duct taped the edges so that like the chicken wire wouldn't poke me, but it was uncomfortable, but it looked cool, and yeah, I just kind of grew from there.
Tell me there are pictures of this on the internet.
There's definitely at least one on my Facebook page.
Okay.
It's pretty rough, but I've actually done 3 Optimus Prime costumes.
Oh, geez.
Yeah. So a few years after that, I did one that was a lot more kind of based on the cartoon and looked pretty sweet. But after that, I kind of wanted to do one that actually transformed.
Oh, my goodness.
A few years ago, I did, a fully transforming Optimus Prime costume that kind of transforms similar to the Power Master toy, where I could kind of like scrunch down like this and sit with my legs sticking out, and it all kind of transformed around me.
I am desperately going through your Facebook page right now to find that. I see a Dragon Zord. I see. Oh, there it is.
In my album.
Oh wait, I see one that's a tiny child.
Oh, that's my son. So I did a transforming Optimus for him as well.
There we go.
Bit of a different transformation, but yeah.
That will do. That is pretty spectacular. Oh, and those of you listening, if you haven't already, just go over to the Armored Garage and on Facebook, give the page a like, and then search through his photos, and you will see a bunch of adorable pictures of your kid as Optimus Prime. A lot of behind the scenes photos too, which is great. A lot of build photos. Very cool. My story is kind of similar. I mean, we just we got back in 2009. My friends who did a lot of anime conventions kind of twisted our arms into making some costumes for PAX Prime here in Seattle. So we made the blue Team Fortress 2 characters, and we had I think 6 of us. We had a pretty substantial team, and it was great. And ever since then, we've been completely hooked. We just kept finding more excuses to build things and then wear them in public.
I know, right? There's something about that reaction in a crowd when you've got a costume like that on. It's so much fun.
Oh, yeah. Thank you, Gregory, for the question. So far, I don't see any... I don't know if we are getting them or not, but I don't see any new questions in our notes yet. So if you are watching live and you have more prop and costume making questions or some... questions specifically about Armorsmith Designer, please post them at punishprops.com/live. Let's grab another one. This one is our pal Ninja Moose. He says, are there any plans to release plans or blueprints of the space gun that you guys did on your Kickstarter? Boy, that is way, way long ago. And right now there aren't any plans. Part of that is like that project is done for the most part and kind of like in the past, and I really don't want to. I have new things in the future I want to do, and we are a 2-person team here at Punish Props, so devoting time to an old project like that is just we just can't do it, and then we have new things we want to try out. So I don't think I kind of like encapsulating that thing in time, and those who got one of those, they can work on it, but we're moving forward. We got new space guns we're going to build. We do have some new space gun projects coming up. I have some ideas that I will be releasing the plans and blueprints for those. Actually, I forgot to mention this. Jeez, I just did Malcolm Reynolds' gun from Firefly. Ta-da! It's been sitting in front of me this whole time.
Oh, look at that.
Yeah, and I put out plans for this. So go get those plans and make this instead. This looks way cooler than the one I designed. We're
That's cool.
Yeah, we're putting together a video. It's the deadline is January 1st, 2017, and anyone who builds this gun based on my plans or whatever, build a gun, I don't care. Malcolm Reynolds gun. You'll send us a 10-second video, and I'm going to put together a compilation on our YouTube channel, which will be really fun. I want to share this project with everyone.
That's fantastic. Was that 3D printed, or was it another foam?
Nope, this guy is all very traditional prop making techniques. So it's made from mostly PVC foam, Sintra, and some wood and some styrene and power tools. But again,
cool.
Anyone at home, you really ought to. We put up a video on how I built it. The plans are free. You can go grab those, make one yourself, shoot a 10-second video of you and your creation, send it to me, and I will include it in our video. Cool. I had that in my notes, and I didn't read it out. Oh, I also did... This is the other thing we worked on. I made a ring. Ta-da! A metal ring. This is what we were working on our live stream the other day.
Wow.
And we'll have a full video on this soon, but I did put up a video of us pouring metal into molds the other day, which is really cool. So I finished that up today, and I'm wearing it. It's pewter, so it's kind of a softer metal. We'll see how it holds up, but I'm wearing it now, and we'll see. That video will be next week. Okay, there. Oh, crap. I have more notes. One more thing that I should have read at the beginning of the show. We're doing a local meetup in 1 week from today on December 15th at the SoDo Makerspace in Seattle. So anyone who is local, we'll have a link in the show notes of this episode for the RSVP for that. But we're going to do like just a social get-together show and tell. People can bring things that they've been working on or something they've made. We can all hang out, show off the things we've done, and talk shop. That'll be super duper fun.
Oh, that's fun.
So link's in the chat. Link is in the show notes. Awesome. Onward. Great. This one is from Heroes Workshop. I have a question for Randy. Do you know my dad?
Oh, Stefano.
I feel like this is an inside joke.
Have you ever seen the G.I. Joe PSAs?
Yes.
Yes. Yeah, so that's what that's from.
Okay. All right. Cool. Thank you, Heroes Workshop. Thanks for hanging out with us this evening. Let's see here. Venger has some questions about the armored, or he says the Armored Garage, but Armorsmith Designer. He says, does it save avatar profiles so that we can quickly transfer between different body builds?
It does.
Oh.
It does. So you can save out your avatar. So there was a little file option there where it had avatar, and then it has save and load and reset. And, yeah, so you can save as many avatars as you want and load them in.
That's cool.
No problems at all.
Then if, like, for example, my wife Brittany and I are two very different body types. Mm-hmm. Brittany is drastically taller than I am, so we would make our costumes very different, and to be able to switch between them would be really cool.
Yeah, and another thing I didn't show there was it does have a male and female body type, so you can switch between those as well.
Now, you said it's in beta right now, right?
It is. It is essentially beta.
But people can go get it?
Yeah, so I'm calling it early access, kind of going with like the Steam outlook on it. And so I'm essentially planning out 3 phases over the next year. This first phase is kind of concentrating on the avatar and all the tools around that. Phase 2, I'm going to be working on a set of like drafting tools and like spline editing tools for going in and creating layers on top of the patterns and kind of adjusting them. Yeah, and then the third phase will be adding 3D modeling tools directly in the tool itself, so you'll be able to create the costume from scratch inside of Armorsmith.
That sounds pretty great. But you want people using it, like that's the.
I do. I definitely do. It's definitely a fully usable tool. There's a lot of features already in there, and it's just growing. I usually do an update every 1 to 2 weeks, so constantly adding new things.
That is great, and as you get people using it, you can get feedback and make it even better. So I'm just
which has been fantastic.
I'm just gonna say everyone ought to go buy it right now because you're only asking $15 for this thing, and it is worth it. Especially to go in there and be able to play with it and give feedback and make something even cooler. Something that's
exactly it.
something that
The community.
I was just gonna say something cooler than what Randy could make by himself.
Yeah, like just seeing some of the stuff that people have already been building inside the tool, it's just been mind blowing. The stuff that people are doing. There's an amazing shredder that somebody built.
What?
There was I've seen a few Reinhardt costumes that are coming out.
Oh my goodness,
it's really cool, really cool.
All right, well I already know when I do tackle my next armor project, I'm going to use it. Let's see here, another one. Venger had another question. He's we talk about poly latex 60 a lot because I like that for sealing foam, and he's looking for a cheaper alternative. He's had success with a mixture of PVA glue and acrylic paint. However, the mixture remains tacky. Let's see. What durable but flexible clear coat would you recommend to apply over a tacky glue/paint surface? My concern is if it's still tacky, or if it's not fully dried, then spraying something over the top of that might end up in sadness.
Yeah, I'm kind of wondering why it's staying tacky. I actually do something similar for my projects. I usually mix PVA glue, acrylic paint, and a little bit of water, but I haven't had any problems with it staying tacky.
Yeah, so part of that is not all acrylic paints are created equal. So maybe try a different brand. Do you have a favorite brand of acrylic paints you use?
I believe it's the Craft Smart. I get from Michaels. Okay. Works really well for me.
Also, if you are going to seal it, my favorite sealing clear sealant of choice is a Varnish. You can get it in a spray paint can or just in a bottle from an art store. So you can get it in glossy or matte. It dries super fast. And the latex, that poly latex 60, after you spray it or brush it on, it kind of keeps a little bit of a tack to it, and that's just how it is. You spray a little varnish on there, it dries super fast, that tackiness goes right away. So maybe try some varnish. I would do some tests on some small pieces. Maybe try some.
Always.
Yeah, try some different acrylic paints. Maybe like Randy said, thin it with a little bit of water as well. And then seal it with some varnish. See how that works for you. So good luck, Venger, and keep testing. We got another one. We have one from him, but we'll grab another one here from Werewolf. He's curious about Armorsmith Designer. Can it make fabric patterns?
So I did a Captain America sewn costume from the first Avenger a few years ago. And I actually kind of modeled it and did those patterns in Pepakura. So really, there's no reason why you couldn't do that in Armorsmith as well. And I think once I get some of those additional tools in there, it should make it really easy to design fabric patterns right within the tool itself.
I'm curious about that too, because the real challenge comes from taking something that would be a Pepakura pattern and transferring it to cloth, because those aren't the same type of patterns. Because with cloth, you can just say, oh, just mash these two pieces together, sew a seam on either side, and then it makes a tube. And you can't do the same thing with necessarily with cardboard, because cardboard doesn't stretch or move the way that cloth does.
Yeah.
But I bet anything...
I think
Go ahead.
Yeah, so the thing to be aware of is, like, when you unfold those patterns, there'll be a lot of cut-ins and things that don't necessarily need to be there with fabric patterns. So when I built that costume, what I did was I printed them out and then traced them over top of additional cardstock and kind of kept adjusting them and putting them together until I had something that fit really nicely. So it's a little bit of a process, but you can definitely do it to create fabric patterns.
There you go. So yeah, I'm willing to bet that you can get close. You can get close with that, but no matter what, there is going to be some trial and error. That is definitely my challenge. Whenever I try and sew anything, I just buy a piece of clothing that's close and that fits me, and I cut it apart and I just make a pattern off that. That's what I do. But if you're looking for something super custom, then using something like Pepakura Designer or Armorsmith Designer could get you a lot closer, a lot faster, I think. Good question, Werewolf. Let's see here. Triel Freshy says, now that we are looking at this new tool, could you share some good resources to get files to play around with before trying to create our own things That's a really, really good question. Do you have a favorite place to go if you're looking for a specific like Pepakura file?
I do. I always go to onekura.com.
What is the? How do I spell that?
So it's here. Let me put it in the chat here.
Perfect. Oh, all right. This is exciting to me because I've never heard of this before. All right.
Yes. So there's the Pepakura library that's on Facebook, and they created this website, onekura.com, which is kind of probably the biggest online repository for files.
Here we go. Loaded up. Awesome. Look at that. Oh, look at that. Batman's armored helmet. Sweet.
Yeah, you can find just about everything on there.
Holy crap. How have I never heard of this before? Bookmark this right away. That's awesome. Fantastic. What I've done in the past, usually I'll end up 3D modeling whatever I need, but it usually pays if you're going to build something. You go to the RPF and see if someone else has done it already. Save yourself a whole bunch of headache. Or like I usually go to the place for this specific thing. So for Master Chief, you could go to the 405th, or for Star Wars, you could go to the 501st, or go to the RPF. Or for the dented helmet or the Mandalorian mercs or anything for specific things. But this place looks like it's probably got all that stuff.
Yeah, RPF's always my go-to source when I need reference material if I'm modeling it myself, because there's always a thread on there with like a million pictures.
Yeah. Oh, this is great. Iron Man Mark 46. My God. This is a rabbit hole. So we will have a link to that in the show notes. That is awesome. Thanks for sharing that. And that question came to us from Triel. That was a good one. Although I will say, if you can dive into, we've been doing more and more with things like Fusion 360, and I have a background in Maya. If you need something really specific, diving into some 3D modeling yourself is incredibly empowering.
Yeah, it is such a good skill to have.
Yeah. All right, let's grab another one here from our pal Venger. Let's see. He says the other day he was beveling an edge onto a foam sword, and he got a little overzealous with the disc sander and gouged a wide notch into the blade's broadside. Unlike other dense materials such as wood, there is no filler or spot putty to fix boo-boos. How would you deal with happy accidents in EVA foam? What do you think? Do you have a go-to solution for that?
It really depends on what I'm building. If it's something that's fairly rigid, then I almost always go to wood filler. It's always my go-to source because you can kind of get it in there, sand it down. Yeah.
We just saw. That's an old one. Let's see here. We like watching this Ami channel. They have the DIY prop shop, and Odin. We'll put a link in the show notes, but Odin Abbott is a really cool guy. He did a video on Cloud's fusion sword, and in the video, he had something similar happen where the tip of the sword got chewed up a little bit. I'm trying to find it in the video where he showed it off, but the tip got chewed off. There it is. He cut out just a clean chunk of the foam and glued in another piece of the foam and then sanded it flush. So
that's a good idea.
Yeah. So he basically, instead of putting in like body filler, this is something similar you would do if you're working with wood and you have a big chip out and you want to replace it with the same type of wood. You would cut out a nice clean hunk, replace it with that same wood with the same wood grain, and then like file it down or whatever. But you can do the same thing with foam. You're just gonna have to cut out a big old chunk. So there you go. We'll drop that link in the old show notes there. Britt just put it in the chat already. So check that out. It's a really good build anyway, a giant foam EVA foam sword. But I like that solution a lot. And that's exactly what you need to do. So don't worry if you get a little overzealous with your power tools. Happens to the best of us.
It does.
Okay, cool. Just FYI, gang, we are going through the questions, and there are only a few left. So if you want to drop another proper costume making question, then go to punishprops.com/live, and we'll be happy to answer it for you. But next, we have one from Team Fett, and Team Fett wants to know, Let's see here. Okay, Bill, I'm a believer in latex sealed foam. Good. I've been shouting it for the last 2 years. You have a couple of videos about rubber cement paint. I haven't seen any more. How are you painting your latex? What is the most efficient way to paint latex? Aha. Have you ever tried to paint latex, Randy?
I did. And yeah, I used the mixing in a little bit of rubber cement with the acrylic, and it worked fairly good for me.
Cool. Did you brush it or spray it?
I brushed it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's how I did it.
Brush.
I will say I was doing rubber cement paint, and you have to mix a thinner with the rubber cement and your pigment. We use oil paint for that. And getting to airbrush it, I only tried the one time, and I didn't get the ratio quite right. It all came out kind of chalky, but just brushing it by hand worked awesome. And that's how I did the helmet, and I'd show you, but it's right over there. The helmet for my Mechanist costume, the whole armor was done that way. And we have a whole video on how I did the rubber cement paint for that, and I brushed it on. Cool. Frank Ippolito also has a really good video on that he did over on Tested's YouTube channel. So we will link to all of those in the show notes. But essentially, you've got your pigment. We used oil paint because oil paint will mix with naphtha, which is our thinner. And we used rubber cement. You mix that all together in the right ratios. And then you can brush it on your latex, and it will bond really well to the latex. Mm-hmm. Very good. What costumes did you use latex on?
It was like it was a latex mask that I did a few years ago, and so it was just painting the face.
Okay, cool. So was it a mask that was like a casting, a latex casting of a mask?
Yeah. I actually did like was it the calcium carbonate with the bandages? So I sculpted something.
Oh, cool.
Poured the latex in, pulled the latex out, and I actually used a Pepakura a frame for the mask, so the mask kind of sat on top of that.
Hey, all right.
Yeah.
So did you model out just sort of a basic frame for it, and then you?
I did. Yeah, that's exactly what I did. It was like an armature, and then I basically coated that in resin, and then built the clay sculpture on top of that.
That's pretty great. That is really awesome. Mm-hmm. I like that. I like that a lot. That's some good problem solving right there. Thank you for the question, Team Fett. I'm excited to see more people interested in using latex rubber. I've got my axe, my giant latex-coated axe back here. Let's see. Lady Longshanks, my wife Brittany, wants to know, for Armorsmith Designer, can I import a weapon to scale it for my body size? Ooh.
That's a great idea. You definitely could. And I've had a lot of requests for like a separate attachment point for props kind of beside the avatar. What you could do for right now is you could attach it to the hand and then scale things out. So for sure, yeah, you could definitely use that as a workflow.
That's a really good one too. That's something that people ask me a lot. My solution right now is I have a photo of me standing next to a ruler, and I put that in Photoshop, and then I drag in a photo of the weapon, and I scale it until it looks right, and then I take the ruler in Photoshop and I measure how big it's supposed to be. And
that's awesome.
That works. It mostly works. But if you have a 3D model of a weapon that you made and you want to make sure it's scaled appropriately, you could dump it into Armorsmith and scale it up, and then you know how big it needs to be. Mm-hmm. It's really good. It's a bummer to finish something and be like, boy, that looks a lot smaller than I thought it would when I got started.
Yeah, that's true. And and even if you wanted to just kind of scratch build something, you could build a quick proxy and bring it in. And kind of scale that up. Yeah,
definitely. Cool. Hey, gang, I want to take a quick moment here to give a shout out to our patrons over at patreon.com/punishedprops. I want to do this more regularly because you guys have been helping us out a bunch over the last couple of years, and I think that's really, really swell. So thank you so much, everyone over there, for helping support our YouTube channel and these videos that we make. You guys are awesome. And if anyone else is interested in lending a hand, head on over to punishedprops.com. I'm sorry, patreon.com/punishedprops. Thanks again, you guys. And on to the next question. This one is from Beaumont. And Beaumont wants to know, could Armorsmith be used to scale an oversized set like Space Marine Power Armor from 40K or Reinhardt, like you were saying earlier? Now, the question I have about that too is, Space Marine power armor is going to have like leg extensions for stilts and everything. Would you just scale things and just move them to the appropriate place, or?
So what people have been doing, so I do have plans to add in kind of like a stilt adjustment to kind of adjust the feet. But what people have been doing in the meantime is just taking the calves and making them essentially the extra length that they would be with the stilts included, so that they can just kind of take the body and shift it up a bunch.
Right.
And then just kind of attach the parts as you normally would.
Yeah, because I mean, really, what you just need to know is how big to make the pieces and whether or not they're going to fit over your body.
Exactly.
And then your body standing inside of that frame is really just for reference. But that's really cool. That's definitely, boy, that's something else too. That someday I'm like, boy, I really want to make a giant costume. I don't want to wear a giant costume, but I want to make one. I see some of our buddies at BlizzCon with the giant costumes just dying in those things.
I know, right? It's so much fun to build, and it's so much fun to wear for like the first couple minutes.
Yeah.
And then when you have to maneuver around in a crowd, it's just like, oh man, what was I thinking?
Oh, it's bonkers. Let's see here. That was, by the way, gang, that was the end of our questions. If you have any more prop and costume making questions, send them in punishprops.com/live, and those will get sorted and sent over to my notes, and we will start digging into those. But in the meantime, why don't we ask Randy, what are you working on next? What do you have coming up?
Well, I've got a couple big things that I'm putting together for Emerald City, actually.
Oh, that's right.
So I'm going to be doing another superhero.
Nice.
Right now, it looks like it's going to be an armored version of the Flash.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah. So I don't know if you guys have seen the when there was that DC Online game, they had a trailer that was kind of like a post-apocalyptical thing, and Flash had some really cool armor in that. So I'm probably going to use that as a starting point for my design.
All right.
I don't love the kind of armored look he has in the new movie, so I'm going to go with something a little bit more simple, a little bit more traditional.
Cool.
See where that goes. And then the other big one is I'm going to be doing a foam Ninja Turtle.
Nice.
Yeah.
Which one?
The 90s movie.
But which turtle?
Oh, sorry, Raph.
Okay, fine. Why? Because you're cool but rude.
Actually, though, my mom built me a Raphael costume when I was a kid.
Oh my goodness!
So that was kind of the main reason. It's kind of like, revisiting that costume.
That's awesome. I'll be honest, a little bit of a Leo fan. I liked swords, but Raphael's cool as well, I guess. Although I probably identify more with Donatello.
Yeah, me too.
That's great. Well, I'm stoked to see that. I will be at Emerald City ComicCon for sure, so I'm really excited about that. Brittany's in the chat here. She wants to see more of Armorsmith Designer. Any chance you could fire it up and maybe drop a prop in, and we could see how that might work?
Sure. Yes, I do actually. Hold on, let me just set up a new costume here.
All right. You said you can do an OBJ, right?
You can, yeah.
Okay. I'm gonna look really quick here and see if I have something I can throw at you.
Sure.
On the fly, doing it live. Let's see here. I have one thing. I think if I have the file, I'll definitely throw it at you.
Okay.
Let's see here. Oh, I do. Yeah. It's a giant file. Any file size limits on that?
No, but it might be tricky to unfold. But I can at least load it in. And
you know what?
Yeah, the scaling.
This won't unfold. This is a high poly model.
You know what? That's okay. We don't have to unfold it. I can at least show the scaling, because a lot of people request STLs so that they can kind of scale 3D printed files.
You know what? I don't know.
Is it huge?
No, I did a sword. I can't remember. There it is. Okay, this is a really, really low poly thing. I modeled this.
Okay.
There we go. I copied a Dropbox link, and I will send it to you via Skype.
Perfect.
And there it is. That ought to work. We were 3D printing stuff, and I threw this together real fast. There you go. All right, there's a sword that I made in about 5 minutes. We'll see how it goes. All right, cool.
Okay, I will just get that downloaded. Load it up.
That one should be tiny. Yeah, it is 206 kilobytes. It's also like this big.
That's perfect.
Wonderful. Very neat. All right, cool. I was trying to grab all stuff. This reminds me too, I got to organize all my files too, because I have like a folder called 3D printing, and then everything inside of that folder is just a mess.
Man, I know. My file structures are just all over the place.
Let's see. Trend Otaku is ranking the turtles. Donatello to Mike to Ralph to Leo. Leo's last. I was a fan of Leo, but I understand that. He's kind of boring. He's not a party dude.
No, that's true. That's true. Okay, here, should we switch over?
All right, yeah, let's do this.
All right. Share screens. All right. So I pulled in the STL. Just a little snapshot of it. We'll attach that over to the hand. Oh, it's so little.
It is tiny.
All right, and then let's scale that. I can select it. Double click
it's
on
actually
hand to zoom in.
Inside his hand. It's sticking out the side of his hand.
Why would it let me select it?
It's far too tiny.
Let's see. I think it's all choppy right now because of sharing on Skype.
I may have given you something too hot to handle. Oh boy! There it is. There it is.
I attached it to the forearm there. There we go.
Cool. There you go. There's the sword.
There it is.
And then you could scale it, figure it all out.
Adjust it. Get it scaled exactly right.
There we go.
There you go.
Oh, Chris in the chat wants to know if that's a sword for Sir Botsalot. It could be. Sir Botsalot is the robot I designed.
Oh, that robot's awesome.
Yeah. Oh, there we go. Cool. So that's how you would drop in a weapon or a prop and scale it in there. Fantastic. Now, when you... Oh, did I lose Randy? Uh-oh. I may have lost Randy. Oh, there you are. We're back to.
Am I there?
We're back. We're good.
Oh, all right.
So if you do that, can you just grab like the? I mean, obviously you could scale it and then output your sliced up like PDOs or whatever. But could you just get the dimensions off of it, so you know just roughly how long it should be?
You could, yeah. So if you click on it, there's a little box there that shows you what the dimensions of it are. So. Yeah, you can pull those down for sure.
That is great. That is really great. I know a lot of times, too, when I'm building something, like I think you were mentioning before, you just make kind of a stand-in for it, scale it, and then once you know the dimensions, I would then take my reference pictures and then draw like a blueprint or something. But then I'll know that it's at the very least long enough or the appropriate length. Let's see here. Oh, Corium9 just dropped in a question. He's doing this frequently now. It's a hidden talent check. He says yes, he's going to ask this every time we have a guest. So the idea is, what is a hidden talent? For example, I can juggle 3 balls. That is my hidden talent. I can juggle.
Wow.
I can juggle 3 balls pretty well, except when I'm sitting down. So, Randy, do you have any hidden talents?
Oh man, hidden talents. Nothing crazy like that.
Did you play any sports growing up?
Not really. I'm pretty good ultimate frisbee player.
Yeah,
that's about the majority of my sports.
Is there, so other than just the throwing and catching of a frisbee, Do you know any other advanced frisbee
For
tricks?
sure. You've got to master the one-handed throw.
Okay.
Just the throw between the legs.
Yeah.
You know, there's lots of those crazy throws.
All
There's the
right.
axe where you kind of throw it like that.
Well, you guys heard it here. Randy is the frisbee master. That is his hidden talent. Another good one here. Corey Nam wants to know if there are any good tutorials that you have for Armorsmith Designer.
There is, and actually, let me just pull up a link for that right now. I have one on my YouTube page
Perfect.
that walks you through the entire flow from beginning to start, everything you can do inside there.
That seems like something really important that
right?
That you ought to have. So good on you. That is
it was
cool.
Very, very requested.
Very good. Cool. Let's see here. Oh, I have a question for you too. With for inside of Armorsmith Designer, is it imperial and metric measurements? Can you swap?
It is. You can switch
One.
between.
That makes me happy.
Yeah.
I love doing most everything I can in metric, but unfortunately, all the tools I buy here in America are all imperial, which is annoying.
Right.
So I have and all my stock material. If I buy a 2x4, it's all inches.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's funny. As far as like body measurements, entirely imperial for me. But then any of the costume building stuff, I go metric. So it's good to be able to switch between them.
Yeah. Okay, cool. This is great. You got a feature overview for Armorsmith Designer. Perfect. So that'll be probably the best place for most people to start. You just dropped it in the chat there, but we'll put that in the old show notes, and people can go over there and get a rundown on it there. And while you're there, you might as well subscribe to the Armored Garage on YouTube.
That would be awesome.
Very cool. Awesome. Let's see if we have a couple more questions yet. And we don't. So I have a question for you then. What features have you heard a lot of people asking for Armorsmith Designer? Do you have any? Is there one thing that most people say, "Oh my goodness, it'd be amazing if it had this one thing"?
Yeah, I've gotten a lot of requests for the silhouette cameo integration.
Ooh.
So being able to cut directly from Armorsmith. And good news for everybody, I've started working on that. I've got it working with my Cricut, and I'm going to be borrowing a cameo from my buddy Chris Cola, and he's going to lend it to me, and I'm going to get it all working with that, and should be good to go in the next update.
Is that the sort of thing that's tough to do because people may have a different machine?
It is. So like every machine has a slightly different interface.
Okay.
And actually the way I'm setting it up is you can write a Python script for your machine. So if I don't support a machine, people can write in plugins and drop those in, and they'll just work.
All right, cool. Because I'm a crazy person, and I have a big industrial like click and cut cutter over here. So getting it to work on that might be challenging.
Yeah, that's another one that I've gotten requests for, click and cut. So it's just a matter of time.
Just a matter of time. That is cool. It is great, though, that it is out enough now that people can tinker with it and then start requesting features, which I think is awesome. Super duper cool. Well, that is, I guess, just about all we have for the old questions. Lots of great questions from our chat. Thank you guys so much for participating. You guys are awesome as always. Where's the one place people should go, Randy, if they want to check out what you're working on and go check out Armorsmith Designer?
Probably go to the website, www.thearmoredgarage.com, or my Instagram is probably the one I update the most.
I'm going to go check out your Instagram too. And I clicked on Twitter. There it is, Instagram. And I am now following you on Instagram.
Right.
And there you go. We've got some great photos of that Wolverine there, which I love. That's pretty awesome.
Yeah, I always post lots of updates on all the stuff I'm working on Instagram.
That is great. Well, cool. Randy, thanks so much for sharing your really cool projects and your Armorsmith Designer with us today.
Oh, thanks for having me on, Bill.
Absolutely.
Fantastic.
Happy to spread the word. Happy to check out this really amazing tool. You guys watching live at home, if you're not jumping on this right now, then you are missing out, because this is going to be something really cool. And I'm stoked to see what I can do with this. I feel like this is empowering me.
It's the start. It's the start of something amazing.
That's what I think.
Really,
this is
really excited about this.
Everyone you really want to get in on the ground floor on this and start tinkering with it. Brittany just posted links to all of Randy's stuff in the chat there.
Oh, fantastic.
Go check all those out. That's everything we have for today. Thanks again for watching Prop Live, you guys, and we will see you all next week. So be there. Yeah.
Thanks, everybody.
Yay! Baka says, neat stuff. Very neat stuff. Awesome.
Sweet.
Tran Otaku is excited to see Power Ranger weapons. Yes. Always excited to see Power Rangers.
Mm-hmm.
Have you seen the trailer for the new movie?
I did. I have mixed feelings. I thought the trailer looked okay, but I saw the design for the new Megazord, and I don't know about that. I really don't know about that.
Yeah, I have feelings about that too. With for example, the new Transformers. They don't like, when they transform, they don't turn into something that looks like it used to be a truck.
No.
The same thing with the Zords. Like, when they're a robot, they're supposed to still kind of look like animals, like dinosaurs.
Yeah.
Awesome.
That's what makes them interesting.
We will see.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Holding off judgment yet.
Yep. I like to. I tend to not jump to conclusions until I see the final product, or at least until the Rotten Tomato scores start coming out. Awesome. All right. Cool. Well, thanks again for hanging out with us.
Oh, thank you.
I think it's time to go have dinner. I think that's next for us.
About that time of day.
Well, cool. Thanks again, and I'm excited to hang at Emerald City.
Yes,
we'll
definitely.
See you there.
Yeah, we'll get to see Evil Ted as well.
Yeah,
coming up.
He was just in Seattle like yesterday.
I saw the pictures. That's
he got
awesome.
stranded here for 2 days, so we took care of him. But yeah, he's coming back for Emerald City. We'll have a bunch of our other friends. That'll be really fun. So I'm stoked. Yeah. All right. Thanks again, Randy.
Well, thank you.
We'll see you later.
We'll talk to you later. Bye.